Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we've got a lot to talk about regarding Baltimore sports, and more importantly, the Baltimore Orioles. I didn't have an episode up yesterday. There was some stuff going on. Couldn't get an episode up yesterday, but today we are going to be going over both yesterday's game and today's game, so it is going to be a jam-packed episode of Birds of a Feather, so you got to make sure to tune in. Again, welcome to the show. We've got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the Orioles are at the forefront of conversation right now for this show. The Orioles have won the last two of their games. They won today and they won yesterday, and that also means that they have swept the Seattle Mariners and they have swept the past two series that they've played in, and this team is on a 6-game winning streak right now, and they're the hottest team in baseball, and things are really looking up for the Baltimore Orioles right now. Things are going their way. They're getting guys back from injury. The pitching's been excellent. The offense has had very timely and very clutch hits in very clutch situations, and they're just doing enough to go out there and win baseball games, and that's all they need to do right now, and they're doing an excellent job at that right now. Again, 6 games won in a row is excellent. We've got some injury updates as well for the Orioles, and we were going to be talking about the Ravens extending Rashod Bateman on a 3-year deal. So Rashod Bateman will be back with the Ravens for 3 years. So we'll talk about that more later. But without further ado, let's just get into this Orioles game. So starting off with the Orioles game from yesterday. Yesterday's Orioles game was crazy. The Orioles won yesterday 3-2 against Seattle. Again, I couldn't get an episode up yesterday, so we're going to be talking about this episode and the game, or this game and the game today. So again, lots to talk about in this episode of Birds of a Feather. But the Orioles went out there yesterday and got a huge 3-2 win over the Mariners. And these wins that they got over the Seattle Mariners, they're very close games. But at the same time, there's a part of me where it shows me that they can win these games, which is very, very, very positive down the road, and something that's going to be very good to know down the road with this team. And the fact that they're going to have to win these games and these types of games as well. So the Orioles win 3-2 in this game. The offense goes out there, doesn't really have a crazy day. They only got on base 9 total times this game. 4 hits, 5. They got walks more times than they got hits. 4 hits, 5 walks, left 4 guys on base, and went 1 for 4 with runners in scoring position. But that one hit that they got with runners in scoring position was the most important hit of this game, all thanks to Heston Kjerstad getting a crazy two-run triple in the 7th inning to put the Orioles back on top. The Orioles were losing in this game going into the 7th inning. They were losing 2-1 going into the 7th. Heston Kjerstad hits a 2-run triple to put the Orioles ahead 3-2, and the Orioles bullpen was able to close this game out, and the Orioles got a win. So there's multiple different things that you can look at over these last few games for the Orioles, but over this winning streak that they've been on and this hot streak that they've been on, the biggest thing that we've got to look at is the pitching for this team has been excellent for this team. Not even just the starting pitching, the bullpen as well. And that was something that was really killing the Orioles early on in the season, was their pitching. But all of a sudden, really out of nowhere, this pitching has completely flipped the switch. They've been one of the better pitching staffs in baseball, like statistically wise, over the last week or so. And they've really made a big change right now. And I don't really know what happened. I don't know what it was. I don't know if Tony Mansolino told the team something. I don't really know what happened. But this team has really found its rhythm. They found their footing. And they've completely flipped the switch on their season right now. And this is the time of the season right now where they really got to take advantage of what's going on. Again, they are on a 6-game winning streak. But they just got to keep this going. Because, again, this is the time of the year where you're going to have to play some of your best baseball, especially as a team that was as bad as of a record as the Orioles were. And I'm not saying that the record still isn't bad. They're still 11 games below 500 after all this stuff going on, but they have made significant progress from where they were just 2 weeks ago. So things are really going in the Orioles' direction. The pitching's been great. Injuries are slowly but surely coming back. The offense is getting very good hits with runners in scoring position, and they're getting very clutch hits as well and doing what they need to do to win games. So that's all very encouraging and very positive from an Orioles standpoint. But going over this game that they won, again, 4 total hits, 5 walks. Jackson Holiday in this game goes 0 for 3. Adley Rutschman scores the first run of the game for the Orioles in the 6th inning. The Orioles were down 0-1, and then we tied at 1-1, then down 2-1, and then obviously went up 3-2 in this game. So Adley Rutschman got the scoring started for the Orioles. He had a solo home run in this game, went 1 for 4 with a home run, and we'll talk more about Adley in just a little bit, going over the game that happened today, because Adley Rutschman has, let's just say Adley Rutschman has, he might have flipped the switch on this season as well, along with this team going on this good winning streak. Adley has really looked good over the last few games, and he's really been doing his thing. And Adley Rutschman might be back, ladies and gentlemen. He might be back. But Adley in this game obviously gets a solo home run. Gunnar Henderson goes 0 for 4. Ryan O'Hearn goes 0 for 4. Ramon Urias goes 0 for 2. Colton Cowser goes 1 for 3. That's back-to-back games now with the hit for Colton. Kobe Mayo goes 0 for 2. Heston Kjerstad obviously gets the big hit in this game, goes 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs with the 2 RBI triple. And then Dylan Carlson goes 1 for 3 as well. So, again, nobody on this team had a multi-hit game in this game because, again, the offense was not really there. But Heston Kjerstad pretty much won this game for the Orioles. Again, the Orioles were down 2-1. They kind of looked dead. The offense looked dead. And then Heston Kjerstad hit a triple, a 2 RBI triple that put the Orioles ahead and then got them the win. But the real thing that we need to be talking about in this game is the starting pitching. And, of course, we got to talk about the starting pitching in this game. And the starter in this game was Cade Povich, who goes out there and has a very good day. Not a necessarily excellent pitching performance, but has a very solid day. 5.1 innings, gives up 4 hits and a walk, 2 runs, has 5 strikeouts with an 86 pitch count across 5 innings. As ERA is at a 5.1. It has gone down significantly since the start of the season. That's good for him. But the main thing in this game that I want to talk about is obviously Heston Kjerstad's triple, but the Orioles bullpen that really stamped this win for the Orioles and really closed this out for them and made this game within reach for the offense, which eventually obviously they took the lead, but closed it out in the 8th and 9th inning. Yennier Cano, 0.2 innings, no hits, no runs, no walks. Strengthy Dominguez, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks. Gregory Soto, 1 inning, no hits, no runs, no walks. And then Felix Bautista gives up a hit, gives up a walk, but in 17 pitches, closes out the game and gets his 11th save of the season. Shout out Felix Bautista. Shout out this Orioles team. A great win that they got yesterday. A fantastic win that they got yesterday, a come-from-behind win. Obviously, they were only down by 1 run, but it was in the 7th inning. It was late game. Heston Kjerstad with an incredible triple, a very clutch triple. And obviously, as I said before, Heston Kjerstad's job is a little bit on the edge because of, Colton Cowser coming back, Cedric Mullins coming back soon, Tyler O'Neill, Ramon Laureano, all these guys coming back soon. Heston Kjerstad's job was a little bit in danger, but he goes out there and has a fantastic day yesterday in this game and got the Orioles the win. And going over and looking at the Orioles game that they played today, because today's game was even more crazier than yesterday's game, and once again it was a come-from-behind win for the Baltimore Orioles. And in this game, we've really got to talk about one man in this game, and I mentioned it earlier, but his name is Adley Rutschman, who in this game was DHing, has a 3-hit day, has a home run, 2 RBIs in this game. A fantastic day for Adley Rutschman, and he is really kind of finding his footing again. Again, he's finding his rhythm. Just like how the pitching's been finding its rhythm, Adley Rutschman is finding his rhythm and finding his way in this season right now. Again, these wins that the Orioles have got over the Mariners weren't anything too crazy. The Orioles won 5-1 in the first game, and then the past 2 games were 1-run games, 3-2 and 4-3. They won both of those games. That's because this team has been able to close out games due to their bullpen, but also been able to close out games due to just their offense getting very timely and very clutch hits in late game scenarios. The Orioles in this game were down. 3-1. And the Orioles ended up coming back in this game and scoring 3 runs in the 6th inning, taking a 4-3 lead, and the bullpen was able to close it out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. But going over the offense in this game, Jackson Holliday was leading off. He goes 0 for 3 with a run scored. In the past 2 wins that the Orioles have had, Jackson Holliday hasn't had a hit, so obviously that's not great. But obviously we still do believe in Jackson very much as leadoff. And in this game, the Orioles had 6 total hits, 2 total walks, but were able to score 4 runs off of that because they hit 2 home runs in this game. So Jackson Holliday, again, 0 for 3. Adley Rutschman in this game, obviously the star of the show. Honestly, the star of the past 2 games that the Orioles have won. Adley Rutschman in this game goes 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs, a home run, and a run scored, obviously. Gunnar Henderson in this game, Gunnar and Adley went, Adley and Gunnar, Adley and Gunnar went back-to-back home runs in this game to give the Orioles the lead in that 6th inning. Back-to-back home runs to give Baltimore the lead. It was a fantastic sequence of events for the Orioles. Seeing obviously the 2 main pillars of this team. These were the 2 guys that the Orioles started off their rebuilds with. It was a very poetic sequence seeing Adley and Gunnar go back to back. Again, these are the 2 guys who you started to rebuild with back in 2019 whenever they picked these guys. Again, Gunnar Henderson in the 2nd round, Adley Rutschman as the number 1 overall pick. Seeing both of those guys end up being multiple-time All-Stars and seeing where they are right now, it was really cool to see, and it was just a really cool sequence overall. Gunnar Henderson in this game, obviously 1 for 4 with that solo home run in the 6th inning to help the Orioles out and give them the lead, essentially. And then Ryan O'Hearn in this game goes 1 for 4. Dylan Carlson 0 for 4. Heston Kjerstad 0 for 3. Colton Cowser did come off the bench in this game because we did rest him for a game. He came off the bench, did have an at-bat, but didn't get a hit. Emmanuel Rivera goes 1 for 4, and then Jorge Mateo and Michael Hanley go hitless in this game. So an excellent game for the Orioles. Once again, the pitching was also amazing in this game. Zach Eflin in this game had a solid game. He went out there and got a quality start. 6 innings, gave up 8 hits, no walks, 3 runs, and had 7 strikeouts, and gave up a home run to Cal Raleigh. 88 pitch count across 6 innings. His ERA is back down to a 4.47. So again, slowly but surely that ERA is going down. We know that Zach Eflin's better than this. He just had some bad starts in a row, and also he hasn't had that many starts this season because he was hurt for a little while. So Zach Eflin getting back on the right track and gets a quality start today. And at the end of the day, that's all you can really ask for. Keegan Aiken doesn't give up a run. Andrew Kittredge doesn't give up a run. And then Brian Baker goes out there and gets a huge save to close the door on this Orioles win. And as we stand right now on June 5th, heading into June 6th, the Baltimore Orioles are 25-36, and they are only 11 games back of being 500. And once again, less than 2 weeks ago, this team was 18 games back of being 500. And again, it looked rock bottom. And going into that White Sox series, I said if we lose this series, I'm going to give up on the season. And since I said that, the Orioles have not lost a game, and the Orioles are also undefeated in the month of June. They sweep the White Sox. They sweep the Mariners. That's back-to-back series wins, back-to-back sweeps. 6 wins in a row for this Orioles team. They're the hottest team in baseball, and they have actually won 6, 7, 8, 9. They have won 9 of their last 11 games. This team is scorching hot right now, and they got to keep it up going into this weekend series starting tomorrow against the, I was going to say Oakland Athletics, but just the A's. You know, they don't really have a... They don't have a home. I guess the Sacramento A's, I guess we can call them. But tomorrow is another game for the Orioles. Another day, another series for the Orioles tomorrow. And we just so happen to be facing arguably the coldest team in baseball right now. I think the Athletics got a big win today over the Twins. Yeah, they won 14-3 in this game today over the Twins. But the Athletics going into this game lost 20 of their last 21. So they're still extremely cold as of recently. So we're facing an Athletics team that has struggled heavily over the past couple of weeks. And again, this Orioles team on the right direction, this A's team going the opposite way. So hopefully this is one of those scenarios where the A's are kind of just running into a buzzsaw in the Orioles right now. And the Orioles can go out here and get another series win against the Athletics. Obviously, I would love to see another sweep, because if the Orioles do sweep the series, then that would be 9 wins in a row for this Orioles team. But hopefully they can go out there tomorrow in Sacramento. It's weird not saying Oakland because obviously they're not playing there anymore. But Yeah, the Orioles play the Athletics tomorrow. It's going to be Dean Kramer versus J.P. Sears. Both pitchers have struggled a lot this season, but again, the Orioles starting pitching has really found its footing. The A's are not the greatest team as we know, and the Orioles should go out here and take care of business and at the minimum take 2 out of 3 in the series and get another series win. That would be 3 series wins in a row. Hopefully we can go for the sweep against this team. That would be 9 straight wins. But let's just keep this winning streak going as long as we can. Let's keep winning series. Because again, as I've said multiple times, this is episode 58. We've had a lot to talk about regarding the Orioles. But again, as I've said multiple times, the only way for the Orioles to get back into the season is if they go on a run in the month of June. Because by the time that we get to July, if they're still heavily struggling, then you have to start thinking about if they're going to start trading people to trade deadline and kind of just punting this season and moving on to the next. And I thought that was the direction that they were maybe going to go in. A lot of people also agreed because, again, there's never been a team in the history of the league that has been 15 games below 500 and made the playoffs that same season. The Orioles were 18 games below 500 at one point this season, and they are right now 11 games below 500, and I think that they're 7 games out of a playoff spot with 102 games left. There is still 102 games left for the Baltimore Orioles, and I think they're only 7 or 8 games out of a playoff spot, so there is still plenty of time for the Orioles to get back into the season. And anything is possible. Again, as I've said multiple times, if there's any team that could come back from being down this much, eventually getting their injuries back, the pitching finding its footing, finding its rhythm, if there's any team that has the talent to be able to come back from as bad as the start that they had, it was the Baltimore Orioles, because this team is still immensely talented, especially on offense, and the pitching is really finding its way. Things are happening for the Orioles. Things are moving. Things are brewing in Baltimore. And some injury updates as well. Obviously, Colton Cowser did just come back recently. But also Jordan Westburg, they said, should be returning next week. And then also Ramon Laureano and Gary Sanchez are starting their AAA assignments this upcoming weekend in AAA Norfolk. So they should be coming back soon as well. And then Tyler O'Neill should be coming back soon as well. Same with Cedric Mullins. But some unfortunate news. So that was all, good news, obviously, those guys coming back soon. But some unfortunate news. Ryan Mountcastle, he's going to be out for a little while. That's what Tony Mancelino said, and I quote, he's going to be out for a little while after his MRI. So I don't really know who's going to be playing first. Probably Ryan O'Hearn. We'll see. It's definitely going to be Ryan O'Hearn, actually, because of all the outfielders coming back. So, again, injuries are coming back for the Orioles. This team is getting healthy. The pitching's been great. They're getting good hits on offense, and they're just finding ways to win games. And this is finally starting to kind of culminate now for the Orioles. We've been waiting all season for this. We've been waiting over 2 months for this, to see this type of Orioles play. And they're doing their thing. They're going out there and doing their thing in arguably the most important month of baseball in terms of dictating what your team is going to be doing for the rest of that season. And it's obvious to me that the Orioles want to try and compete, that the Orioles obviously want to go out there and make the playoffs, because there really is no quit in this Orioles team. Obviously, you look at the past 2 games where they came back and won in the late innings in both of those games. And it's obvious to me that this team doesn't want to give up. This team wants to make the playoffs, and this team wants to be able to have a chance to go on a run this season. And what a story it would be if this team was able to make the playoffs. But there's still a long way to go, obviously, with this season, but also with the deficit that they're in right now. There's still 11 games below 500, but that is drastically better than what it was, just even 2 weeks ago. So the Orioles are headed in the right direction. Things are going on in Baltimore. Things are brewing. Things are happening. And I could not be happier for this Orioles team. And hopefully they can go out there and get a win tomorrow, start off the series 1-0, keep that winning streak alive, and then just win this series against the Athletics. And going over our last piece of news today, we're going to be talking about the Baltimore Ravens, who made a pretty big move today where they extended wide receiver Rashod Bateman on a 3-year contract extension. So Rashod Bateman will be staying in Baltimore for another 3 years. So shout out Rashod Bateman. Obviously, he had an excellent season last year, had a big breakout year for the Ravens last year, made some incredible plays. Obviously, in mind, I'm thinking about the Bills game where he had that big touchdown. I'm thinking about the Tampa game where he had that incredible, corner of the end zone touchdown. I'm thinking about the Chargers game where he had that incredible corner of the end zone touchdown. So Rashod Bateman is an excellent receiver. We know this. He is the wide receiver 2 for this Orioles team. Obviously, you got Zay, you got Bate, and you got DeAndre Hopkins. And DeAndre Hopkins obviously has been turning a lot of heads at the OTA camps that he was at. So D-Hop looks to be maybe having bigger of a role than we thought. But Rashod Bateman's obviously still going to have a big role. Same with Zay, same with Derrick Henry, same with Isaiah Likely. So you look at this offense, the Ravens wanted to do their thing and lock down Bateman for the next 3 years because this is a receiver who could really break out over the next couple of years. Obviously, we saw what he was capable of last season. And over the next couple of years, he could really break out. Him and Zay could really be labeled as one of the best wide receiver duos in the NFL. This is still just the beginning for Rashod Bateman. Got a big contract extension. So happy for Bateman. He really deserves this. And the Orioles, oh my God. The Ravens did a really smart thing and let him kind of bet on himself. They picked up his player option for this season, and he went out there and balled out and did great. So Rashod Bateman, welcome back. Well, not really welcome back. Just keep doing your thing, and just keep being a good target for Lamar. Bateman's been great for the for the Ravens. Rashod Bateman, wide receiver 2. We'll see what happens over the next few years, but it's very nice to see that one of our top targets is being locked down. Bateman is back with the Ravens. Obviously, mini camp starts, I think, next week, so Ravens content is going to be ramping up slowly but surely over very soon. Obviously, we talked about OTAs last week when they started and talked about the first day of OTAs, but mini camp and training camp is going to be starting very soon, and there's going to be a lot to talk about with the Ravens. So Ravens content's about to be popping off here soon. But obviously, Rashod Bateman gets a big extension today. And my prediction is that Lamar is actually going to get that big extension before, obviously before the season, but maybe even before training camp starts. Obviously, we heard John Harbaugh say before that if Lamar Jackson does get extended, he is going to be the highest paid player in NFL history, just like he was the first time when he got extended. And I could very well see that happening. And it'll probably be before the season, but maybe even before OTAs. And I want to get that done, obviously, as soon as possible. You want to keep Lamar on this team. Obviously, you want to keep Bateman on this team as well, and he'll be back for the next 3 years. Again, Ravens content will be, popping off here real soon, so stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. I appreciate you guys so much for all the support that you've shown me, all the nice comments that I've seen. Sorry about not uploading an episode yesterday. There was some stuff going on, but this was a pretty jam-packed episode today. Talked about 2 different Orioles games and also the Ravens game. I will have an episode up sometime tomorrow. It'll probably be really late tomorrow, so probably more closer to Saturday morning, because tomorrow we do play in, at the Athletics. We do play in Sacramento. That game does start at 9 o'clock, so the game is going to end super, super, super late. So I don't know if I'm going to record then. We'll see what happens, but obviously I'm going to have an episode recapping every single one of these upcoming games against the Athletics, and also any Ravens content that happens over the next few days, and also going into the training camp as well. So if you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify, and follow all my socials as well. Those will be in that will be in the link in the bio. I update on if there's no episodes going on, I kind of update my Twitter, update my Instagram as well. So make sure to tune into that as well. Again, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I'll have an episode up sometime tomorrow talking about the A's and Orioles game, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Y'all have a great sales night. Y'all have a great sales day, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.